The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus went to the Mount of Olives, but early in the morning he arrived again in the temple area, and all the people started coming to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, who made her stand in the middle. They said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. So what do you say?" They said this to test him, so that they could have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and began to write on the ground with his finger. But when they continued asking him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first one to throw a stone at her." Again he bent down and wrote on the ground. And in response they went away, one by one, beginning with the elders. So he was left alone with the woman before him. Then Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one, sir." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, do not sin anymore." The Gospel of the Lord.
John tells us that they brought in a woman caught in adultery. And if you listen to the story carefully, there are really three terms that speak of the dominance that they feel over her. He writes that they caught her, they brought her, they made her stand before everyone. They simply bristled with righteous indignation. And they asked Jesus his view, because in their eyes, her fate was sealed. Death by stoning was the law. And notice, there's no talk of the adulterous man. That happens several times in the scriptures, where two parties are supposed to be guilty of a particular sin, but in this one, no talk of him at all. It's the woman who gets condemned in that sexist society, and the man walks free. Their challenge is to Jesus, and it's head on. In the law, Moses says that this is what's supposed to happen. What do you say? Jesus looks at them, and he opposes that arrogant machismo. He says basically, no death sentence comes from God. And with audacity, he brings in truth, justice, and compassion to bear on the act of judgment. Let the one without sin cast the first stone. And notice John tells us that the accusers go away shamefacedly. They know that they're guilty of many things themselves, and it's only then that Jesus speaks with tender compassion to the woman who escaped execution. Jesus says, "Neither do I condemn you." But then he encourages her to make the gift of forgiveness a starting point of a new life for her. He says, "Go away, and from this moment, sin no more." And that's how Jesus is in the gospel, over and over again. Finally, in the scriptures, You see a man who's not conditioned or oppressed by the law or power. He's simply this magnanimous individual who never hated or condemned, who never returned evil for evil. In his defense of this sinner, there's more truth and justice than in all of our respectful demands and name-calling. He simply greets her with that generous spirit that is ultimately God. Maybe we haven't yet managed to unpack all of the consequences in Jesus' liberating action in the face of this woman's oppression. Working in a church that's directed and inspired mostly by men, we're often unaware of all the injustices that women keep suffering in all areas of life. A few years ago, one theologian spoke about the revolution ignored by Christianity. And it's not just in the church, it's in society as a whole. We still live in a society where many women cannot walk freely about out of fear of abuse, physical, emotional, or simply humiliation. They aren't imaginary things. On the contrary, they form perhaps the most deeply rooted violence and the one that causes the most suffering. Many voices in our church speak of the need to echo more strongly the suffering of women in our church and in our world. They speak about the important place that we're called to have with raising social consciousness in our world. It's what we speak about in terms of the church all the time. And yet we still have a long way to go to denounce the abuses against women, to offer an intelligent defense, and an effective protection as we try to change our societies to recognize the equality and the dignity of all people. It's not just here in our country, but around our world. I would invite you, as you listen to those stories of Jesus throughout the Scriptures, notice how he doesn't hold one sex up higher than the other. He simply deals with everyone with that same basic goodness and genuine care that God reveals to all of us. And if that's who Jesus is and how he acts, then he's constantly calling upon us to do the same.